Big good win here. Eventually we will like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, help promote and rank up my channel. So apparently, there was a conversation had on Midnight's Edge, its YouTube channel, with Ed Solomon, who's behind Bill and Ted Face the Music. The creator, Ed Solomon, recently explained why Bill and Ted have daughters instead of sons. I really want to hear this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to hear this too. For those of you that aren't familiar with Midnight's Edge, I'm not really familiar with Midnight's Edge. I've seen their name crop up here and there. So let's just dig into this and see the reality behind this, or whatever lie we get in place of the truth. So, speaking with Midnight's Edge, Tom Connors, Solomon was asked. He was asked. There was a little bit of a controversy around the children about Bill and Ted having daughters and not sons, and it was assumed by most that they were sons. There were a few comic books that came out that reinforced that idea. Wow, so there were even comic books that reinforced that idea. Oh, I didn't know that. Solomon confirmed their first drafts of the film did indeed feature Bill and Ted having sons. He explained, our first draft in 2010 that we wrote, the first couple of drafts, it was Will and Theo. It sucked, honestly. That's what he elaborated. We never got the voices right. They seemed either like young Bill and Ted, which was so derivative because we did young Bill and Ted. They were called Bill and Ted. Or when we tried to change them up, they became like cool guys or smart. And it was like comedy death. It was like we sprayed laugh all over them. It was not working. So, and then a few years later, Chris Matheson and we both have sons, we both have daughters, and we thought, what if we made them girls? What if they had daughters instead? What if instead of Will and Theo, it's Billy and Thea? That's interesting. And the whole thing opened up, he continued. Solomon added, it just became so much better and we were so grateful. And it also widened the film, which had been very male-centric. It gave a whole other feel to the movie. So, I mean, I guess I can see you don't want to do new Bill and Ted, but isn't really that kind of way the way it goes. You pass on the next generation. You do want it to seem like Bill and Ted, not exactly, but you do want to kind of feel like you're coming full circle or whatever when you're closing out a trilogy. But to each their own. I can kind of see why they would want daughters instead, but I still find it questionable. He went on to say, and it reinforced other choices that we knew we were going to be making. Initially, the character who functions the way Rufus did was kind of going to be a Henry Rollins type of dude, and we were like, what are we doing? This is about fathers and daughters. Rufus should have a daughter. Should he? Solomon continued, it also allowed us because once we knew we were not going to have that scene where the guys visit Rufus in a big, meaningful way, it allowed us to have Georgia's presence more in the movie. Call her Kelly. He continues, it needs to open itself up now. It's not just that the world is changing, it's that we've changed, it's that the characters have changed. It's just made for a better film all around, he added. Yeah. Okay, so, Solomon then addressed complaints that the film is part of woke agenda. Giving the sons were changed to daughters, he stated, that part that pisses me off when you get that bullshit like it's part of some woke agenda. That's the part that ticks me off. He continued, first of all, there isn't a Hollywood agenda involved in this movie in any way. I cannot stress to you enough how uninterested in this movie Hollywood was. They passed on it left and right every time we tried to get someone to finance it. They passed for a decade. Everybody passed multiple times. Every independent studio passed. Every financer passed. You know what? I can actually believe that. I can believe that. So there is no agenda. That's the part that makes me mind. That part that's truthful is it just was boring and derivative and redundant. I like that I said derivative and redundant. That's redundant in and out of itself. Having them be young boys, it just didn't work. It was no good, Solomon added. So, I can kind of see everybody passing on this, but with the way Hollywood's been rebooting everything in an effort to franchise it, no matter how against the culture or times it may be, I don't know. And I mean, there could be absolute 100% truth in this. They also could be making excuses. So there is no agenda. That's what he claims. There's no agenda. In closing, Solomon would state, this was a movie that was made unclinically by people who really want to be there, who fought like crazy to get this movie made, who gave up most of their money. Most everyone is working for very little money, and many of us had to put what little money we were having, put a large chunk of that back into the movie just to keep it afloat. He continued, hey, look, I hope this movie breaks out into people who have never seen a Bill and Ted movie, but my most important hope is that for the people whom Bill and Ted does mean something, they feel like this was a communication to them and that they feel we did our best. Whether it succeeds or not, it's going to be up to them and their point of view, but we did our best to give them the best versions we could figure out how to do given the time and budgetary constraints that we had, he added. Well, I'm going to see this movie. I'm going to give it an honest review. It's been so long since I've seen Bill and Ted. I really feel like I should review the old school stuff before I see this movie, and I may actually do that on my review channel. So Solomon concluded, my hope is that people have fun with the movie. It provides a nice cap to the journey for them during these weird, crazy, stressed times. It's just a little balm, a little relief, a little diversion. It makes you smile. Bill and Ted Face the Music opens August 27th, which is actually today. I am so just turned around. So Bill and Ted is available today. It opens at theaters today. And you already know who it stars and all that. The official, I'm not going to read you the official description and all that. Do you plan on seeing Bill and Ted Face the Music? Let's check out some of these comments. Hollywood was only interested in making movies with an agenda. I think that's the reason they had difficulty. That's a good point. I mean, that's a damn good point. So sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Why are they girls? I think he explains pretty clearly why they were eventually written as girls. They were written as girls to better the story and because they are more developed characters. Sounds like a fun movie born out of the desire of these four guys to work together again. These are some pretty good comments. The question has to be asked because no one is confused as to why the kids are female or why they have a black friend, ... It makes me so mad when people don't believe me. When I lie to them, I lie. You believe it. That's how this is supposed to work. Oh, so another person, and this is the exact same reason Neil Cuckman used to change Nathan Drake's son into a daughter in Uncharted 4. Anita, but what if it was a girl? Brilliant! Oh, that's literally what happened. Who is this even an issue to? Next story. It's an issue to the SJW writing this article. So, sorry, dude, with all the feminist propaganda that has been shoved down my throat in the recent years, I'm not interested anymore in female leads. Send your things to the feminist place. So, then what happened to the sons? I think that's a real question that needs to be answered. Guess they got aborted. That would fit the left-leaning narrative. So, dear director, when the whole world reject your idea, maybe it does really suck. I guess we'll have to see. I'm really interested in seeing this film. I will absolutely review it. And we'll see if it's really got a woke agenda. You know, just because they're girls doesn't mean there's a woke agenda. Now, however, depending on dialogue and narrative, we'll find out the truth soon enough. Fake Goodwin here. Comment down below. Like, subscribe, share. Stay awesome. And rock on.